Here is your 2024 silver price prediction, the realistic forecast, brought to you by Ainslie Bullion and the Gold and Silver Standard. Use the time codes below to go to your favorite part straight away. A couple of things before we start. My name is Joe. Anything I say here is not financial advice, not necessarily the opinion of Ainslie Bullion or the Ainslie Group. You also need to know that we are focusing on the US dollar price. So if you're somewhere else within the world with your own foreign currency, do know that that floats against the US dollar. So just because silver was going up doesn't necessarily mean it's going up in your foreign currency at the same time. Most of the time it does, but you do need to know about that fluctuation. So first, what we'll do is we'll take a look at our 2023 silver price prediction, see how that tracked. Then I'm going to give you 3 price targets moving higher, 3 price targets moving lower. 2 will be my realistic price targets moving lower, the ones that I think we would reasonably, most realistically bottom out at for 2024. And I'll give you a unrealistic, but just watch it in case. And I'll do the similar thing for upward price movement. Okay, let's go straight to our silver price prediction for 2023 and see how that fared. Here's what we were talking about in last year's price prediction video. Now, very admittedly, I was not conservative enough with my higher targets, and we certainly didn't see anywhere near those targets I was talking about. The first realistic target I had for 2023, if we were going to be moving higher in price, was the $37 to $40 area right here. Didn't hit anywhere near that, and I'll show you where we ranged in for the year of 2023. My next realistic, I gave it a 50% chance, was actually breaking the all-time high and coming up to the 1.618 Fibonacci of around about $75 US, way under conservative for 2023. But when we talk about the lower prices, I did have a couple of reasonable targets here. I had this first one, the first one here, which I thought was definitely more than a 50% chance, and quite a likely chance that if we were to have some lower prices, we come down to this Fibonacci level here. This is the 0.382, and have been and I will continue to be taking it from the all-time high back in 1980 of that $48.50 US level, and the lows in the early 90s of $3.50 roughly. So that Fibonacci is still very much in play for me. I even made a video about the predictive power of Fibonacci, and I'll put a link above to that now. This is definitely still in play, at least until we break this all-time high and start making new all-time highs. This one is the one that I'm using. So I thought that the 0.382 at around about $20.70, $20.50 roughly would be the first low target for 2023 right there. I also had one down here matching this support level at $17.50, and I had the unrealistic, but you never know, one at around about $14 right there. So let's see how we tracked. Back to the live chart, and we'll pop on our indicators. Now, this is the yearly chart. We're using the tradingview.com website, again, priced in US dollars. I'll need to punch into, let me just punch in a little bit closer. And this is the range. This is 2023 right here. This is the range that we ranged through, and it was basically between these two Fibonacci levels of around about hit up the $26 level, the very infamous $26 level. We did not break through that once again, and then the low in 2023 was a little bit below that Fibonacci level that I was talking about, that $20.60 level. Technically, on this index, we bottomed out at $19.90 US cents. Now, that's on the yearly time frame. Let's take a look at the monthly very quickly, then I'll get to the lower targets and the higher targets for 2024. Here is January of 2023. As you can see very clearly, the entire year of 2023 was spent in this channel here between two major Fibonacci levels. Again, this, I find Fibonacci, particularly for silver, and particularly this old high and this old low, to still be quite predictive in terms of sort of midterm high and low channels. And so you can see here very quickly, I'll show you, even though we did spike down to that 1990 level, you can see that we clustered around that Fibonacci low right here. This is it. That's where we had that low, 1990, and we came back to test it back in October of last year of 2023 as well. So I would say for me, and if you can see this on the weekly as well, you can see that cluster. We had that little spike, but then 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, sort of a month there, sort of having a support level around that $20.50, $20.60 area. Again, that 0.382 Fibonacci from the very old highs and lows of 1980 and the early 90s. And so very, very predictive for me in terms of Fibonacci. So I would call that low there, that first realistic price low target that I mentioned in the video early in 2023, to definitely have been the one that played out. So definitely not so in terms of the higher prices though. This is where I had the rectangular box drawn in here, the $37 to $40. Nowhere near it, absolutely nowhere near it. But of course, as we say in every video, we are not predicting the prices are going to go higher or going to go lower. It's just if they do, what are the reasonable price targets? So let's do that right now for silver, and I will give you my reasonable price targets moving higher and my reasonable price targets moving lower for silver in 2024. Let's start with the higher price targets. You always want to hear the higher ones first, of course, naturally. Let's do that, and then we'll do the lower ones. So if you click straight to the time code, you want to hear these higher targets. So I am going to keep this level right here at 37 to 40, but it's not my first reasonable price target. Now, if you've been watching my price analysis videos throughout the last year, if you've been a subscriber to the channel, you know in recent months, I've been talking about this final hurdle right here. This is around about $31. It's around about exactly $31.10, $31.20, but call it roughly $31 US. Once again, that's based on a Fibonacci from, again, the old high of 1980 and the old low of the early 90s, and that's the 0.618 Fibonacci level. You can see that right here, 31.1 roughly. So for me, that is my first reasonable price target if we are going to be seeing higher prices from here for 2024. It's very reasonable to suggest that if we have a little price dip and then it looks like we're on our way upwards and we have to break that $26 level. That's the very first hurdle we need to get over, $26. But the reasonable price target is that first one at $31. I call it the final hurdle for me because once we break out of 31 and we come back to test it as support and it holds as support, that is my final hurdle, which says to me we are in absolute bull territory, 100% confirmed. I don't need to think about it anymore. And then, onwards and upwards for the next months and years ahead. We have yet to get there first. So got to get over that $26 level there. I've talked about it many times before, but my reason here at the one I had as my first reasonable price target in 2023, last year's video, it's now going to be my second one, and that's at the 37 to 40 US dollar mark. Again, based on the Fibonacci, I really do find that to be predictive, at least for silver. Post a comment below if you disagree. I just find this very helpful. So that's at that, technically the 0.786, that's at 38.6, so $38.60, but I just put it in a range there of between 37 to 40. So that is my reasonable target, higher target for 2024. Am I saying it's getting there? Absolutely not. As I said before, we're not giving definitely going higher, definitely going lower, but I think there's at least a 50% chance that we do, if we do see higher prices, we make it to that $37 to $40 level. So I'm more than 50% confident of the $31 level, 50% confident of $37 to $40. And I said I would give you the unlikely, the unrealistic, but you never know, just keep it in the back of your mind. And that's obviously going to be the previous all-time high of that $50 US level. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I would be happily surprised, very much so, and so would you, if it does. Also, definitely a less than 50% chance. But those are my targets moving higher, for reasonable price targets moving higher, $31, next realistic 37 to 40, and unrealistic, but keep it in the back of your mind, the previous all-time high of $50 US. Okay, we've done higher price targets. Let's do the lower price targets. Just want to show you very quickly. We'll go back to the yearly time frame. So far, we are down for the year. So we opened at $23.70 roughly. We're now at $23, so 70 cents down for the year so far. Certainly doesn't mean that we're going to continue going down. You can certainly see spikes and then spikes back up. Look at 2020, for example, although this one was, there was a bit of an anomaly in March of 2020, if you can remember what was going on there. But certainly you can have years where you have a spike down and then you continue all the way back up again, and then it's a green year. So don't just think because we've opened the year going lower that it's going to stay going lower, okay? But reasonable price targets moving lower. Now I still have, and I'll keep it in here, I'm not going to have this as my first reasonable lower target, but I just want you to keep it in mind. This horizontal line right here at around about $22.20. It's been acting as resistance and support over time. So that's a little interim one, but that's not going to be my first one. My first one here, I'm going to keep these the same as last year. I think they're still in play. So my first reasonable low bottoming out target for 2024 is at that $20.50 area right there. Again, you can have little spikes below, but as long as we close above, that's okay. So I'm thinking that $20.50 area is the first reasonable low target for 2024. And similarly, there's a 50-50 chance that if we do break through that $20.50 area, we're going to come down to meet this support level right here. And that's once again at that $17 to $17.50 to $18 level. I'll pop that in right there. You can see very clearly that has been a level of resistance here, and that's on the yearly time frame. It's also been it's been a closing amount for the year and an opening amount for the following year as well, around about $17.50 to $18 level. Also acted as support as the low target, the bottoming out in 2022. So I think you could see that as support for sure. So those are my two reasonable targets moving lower for 2024, the $20.50 area and the $17.50 to $18 level. And the unrealistic, so less than a 50% chance, but keep it in the back of your mind, once again, this level here of that $14 mark. Now, if that thing in March of 2020, and you know what happened then, did not occur, if that black swan event had not occurred, I absolutely don't think you would have seen this Fibonacci level of the 0.236, $14 taken out. This was a very quick wick down. So that was the black swan event that took that down. Unless if there's a black swan event this year, well, that's why they're called black swans, because you don't know them until they happen. Yeah, sure, you could see it go down further, but really less than a 50% chance. Unlikely, but keep it in the back of your mind, a big support level there at $14. So that is my silver price prediction for 2024, the realistic forecast. Now here is the recap for those who have clicked go straight to the recap time code. Let's go through it straight away. My higher targets for 2024. Let's go. We are talking at $31 is my first reasonable price target. My second reasonable price target, 50-50 chance, realistic chance that we hit $37 to $40, and unrealistic less than 50% chance that we break the all-time high, or that we come up to the whole all-time high in 2024. That's a big move. So for example, from here, you would need to, that's over a 100% move from here. Unrealistic at this stage. 37 to 40 is about a 65 to 70% move. Again, 50-50 chance of that, probably not, but 50-50. More likely a 35% move in a year up. That's pretty reasonable. You've certainly seen larger spikes, so that's why I'm giving that 50-50, unlikely. And so those are my targets moving higher and my targets moving lower. Let me just get that out of the way. I want you to take note of this $22.20 area, but that is not one of them, so I'll get rid of it. First realistic price target for 2024 moving lower is at $20.50. It's a Fibonacci. A major support level here is my second realistic price target, a 50-50 chance of hitting $17.50 to $18. And the unrealistic, but keep it in the back of your mind, less than 50% chance is at that major support level of $14. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know your own thoughts. Post them in the comments. I really want to hear from you. And of course, please subscribe to the channel because I do weekly analyses of gold, silver, platinum, and more. I've already done a gold price prediction for 2024. I'll put a link above and in the info section of the YouTube page. With that, and you will be getting a platinum one too. When that's available, I'll put links above and below to that as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. I hope your bags are packed for wherever they go. If you're backing up the truck ready, I hope it works for you. And hopefully, in the not too distant future, we start making creeps to these higher prices because that's really why we're all in it at the end of the day. Balance your wealth in an unbalanced world. Take care. We'll see you next time.